Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and this is Spotlight on Government. Generally, we have political office holders on the program, but today we've got a real treat. I have Ming, and Ming is the planning manager for the Florida Department of Transportation. Ming, so glad to have you on the show.
Hey, Bill, good to be here. Thanks for having me here.
Roads, something that none of us can do without. Going all over the state and then on into anywhere there isn't water practically.
That's right.
And you do all the planning for this?
Well, I can't say I do all the planning. At least I do for the 5-county area within our district.
Oh, all right. Well, that makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your job, maybe a little bit about your background. Where do you come from, and how did you manage to get into this kind of a position?
Well, let's go way back.
All right.
I was born and raised in China. Came here in 1984 and been in Florida since. Went to high school in Pinellas County. Graduated from USF, go Bulls. Although their football team is not doing too well right now. But, you know, still my school, I love it. Joined the DOT back in 1992, and it's been there since.
What kind of a degree do you have?
Civil engineering.
Civil engineering?
Yeah.
Did you, as you were going through school, kind of decide you wanted to be in roads and construction like this, or was it just you wanted to be in some area of civil engineering?
Well, I can tell you it was a story. Originally, I wanted to be an electrical engineer.
Okay.
My dad was an engineer. He was a mechanical engineer. And of course, I was in engineering orientation. I was at College of Engineering. So we sat at this auditorium, 200 brand new students coming into College of Engineering. So the guy down there and says, anybody want to be an electrical engineer? 80% of people raised their hands. Anybody want to be a civil engineer? A few hands. So I looked around and said, well, you know, the smart thing is to have less competition. So that's how I started.
That was a very smart thing to do. Now, Florida Department of Transportation, let's kind of paint me a picture of some of the things that they handle.
Well, I know lots of people think of DOT immediately, and they think about roads, highways, and bridges. Obviously, we do more than that. You know, we're in the business of moving people and goods. So not only we handle highway and bridges, we look at airports, seaports. We partner with those
Really?
agencies. Yeah, we do.
I didn't realize that DOT was part of those.
Yeah. Actually, we help fund some of their on-site improvements, also help improve access into those facilities. One example is the I-4 Crosstown Connector project that's currently going on.
Isn't that something fantastic? It's almost a piece of art when you look at it from the skyline.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The construction method they use, you know, how fast they're building this facility, it's pretty amazing. You know, I've never been in construction myself, you know. I've been in design and planning, but just looking at construction, you know, of that project is really amazing.
I imagine they had to do a lot more planning on those because of the problems we had with the, is it the Crosstown Highway? What is the toll road that comes from Brandon?
Expressway?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the sinking piers and all the things they had there.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to look at the engineering portion of it. I mean, I don't have a lot of detail on that sinking of those piers, but I know those are lessons learned, you know, for our engineers, just to make sure that things like that don't happen again.
Well, especially since these are so much higher.
Yes,
I mean,
they're.
those are nosebleed heights.
Yeah,
it's almost like
elevated.
looks like it's almost like going over the Skyway, coming around to some of those things.
Well, wait until it's done. It's fun to ride on it.
Tell me, what is, as we were talking in this before we came here, sitting in the green room chatting,
Right. Mm-hmm.
You were talking about toll road authorities and various different things. I always thought that DOT was over it all, but are there different entities that control, like the Skyway Bridge and the various expressways and toll roads?
Yeah, there are different entities handling toll roads. Obviously, if you look at the Skyway, you look at the Veteran Expressway, the Suncoast, those facilities belong to our Turnpike enterprise, Florida Turnpike enterprise, is a part of the department. Now,
It is part of DOT?
yeah, it is part of
Okay.
DOT. Now, you're talking about the Crosstown Salmon Expressway. That belongs to the Tampa Hillsborough Expressway Authority. It's a
Really?
local expressway authority. Yes, it has jurisdiction over that. Now, we are partner with them. Our Turnpike Authority, Turnpike Express, sorry, the Turnpike Enterprise helped them collect the tolls, and the revenue got
It's got to be
directed back.
hard to keep some of these things
Yeah.
separated. I know when you first told me your title, I said, can I shorten that? Because your actual title is Intermodal Systems Development Manager. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. Well, I can tell you that the reason behind that is because, I talked about earlier, we're not building highways and bridges only. We work with airports, seaports. We get into pedestrian and bypass business. We work with spaceport, all those. So we look at transportation as a system, not just a facility. So that's why the intermodal title came in. But overall, it's planning.
Before we leave the toll roads and things, can we talk a little bit about the Sunpass?
Sure. I don't know much about it, but I try my best.
Is the Sunpass just in Florida, or can you use it outside of Florida?
Sunpass right now is just in Florida. I know there's been talk between our Turnpike Enterprise folks with other toll road agencies in other states about making the Sunpass or E-Pass usable in other states. But right now, we're not quite there yet. But there's been conversation about it.
And if for instance, a lot of times I will get on the toll road portion there coming up from Sun City Center, and it stops at 301 not being free anymore. But there's no booth or anything. And so I'm going to get a Sunpass. I'm going to buy one. I'll help you all out. I'll go ahead and buy one. Well, what happens if I go on past that without a Sunpass? Do they send me a letter in the mail and say, bad boy?
Actually, they wouldn't. Personal experience, okay? They wouldn't send you a letter saying bad boy, but they will send you a bill. It's called license plate tolling. There's a new technology. I think Florida had it for a couple years. What it is, they're cameras. Capture
Like
the license
the red
plate.
light camera.
Yeah, just capture a license plate. Obviously, assuming it's registered to the right driver. It will send to your address with the toll rate supposed to pay, and I think there's a processing fee, like $2.50, something like that, tack onto
Over and
it.
above what it would be if I had the
Yes.
Sunpass.
Yes,
I think I'll just go ahead and get the Sunpass. It'll make it a lot easier.
for $4.95, I think it's a bargain.
I think it's a real bargain.
Yes.
I'll make a note of that. I can't write on my hands that somebody be criticizing me for that. Tell me, what are the challenges that the Florida Department of Transportation face now? I assume one of the big ones has to be budget.
You're absolutely right. Funding. Obviously, our budget is funded by the State Transportation Trust Fund, which makes up a federal, state, and other tax revenues. Mainly come from the gas tax. As you know, well, lots of people know that gas tax is collected on a per gallon basis. It's not collected based on the price of gas. Whether gas is
Right,
$2 a gallon
right.
or $5 a
Yeah.
gallon, you pay 18.4 cents on a gallon for federal tax. And of course, there are other state gas tax. That had not changed since 1997. You think about it, $1 in 1997 can buy you a lot more
Oh, yeah.
than today. That tax had not been indexed. So it's very critical. For us to look at that picture is really not sustainable. Gas consumption had not increased much.
Well, isn't that, it would seem to me that's got to be one of the crucial things, is that was set up on cars that got 12 to 14 miles per gallon. And now cars like mine are getting 27 to 30.
Mm-hmm.
And my neighbor has a hybrid that gets 50.
Yes.
They're using the highways more, but paying less in real dollars.
Yeah, and as you know, the law has been passed by 2016. I think all the new cars are supposed to get over 35 miles a gallon. And by 2025, they're supposed to get up to 50 miles a gallon. So just looking at it,
it can't last.
No, it's not sustainable. I mean, that's why we're looking at other alternative to build our highway improvement or transportation improvements. You're looking at our current budget right now, only 39% being spent on improving capacity. All the other money been spending on maintaining, operating a facility. And in the long run, pretty soon we're going to run out of money.
I've been told that we have a real problem, not only in Florida, but nationally with bridges, that the maintenance on bridges, of all these bridges that were built during the boom time, they all have to be maintained. Is that a problem here in Florida also?
Well, I'm proud to say that Florida is in very, very good shape. I think we are number 2 in the nation as far as the condition of our highways and infrastructure. So I'm very proud of it. As a DOT employee, we've been doing a very good job. And as a state, we invest lots of money in maintaining our road. I often heard relatives and friends from other states come into Florida. They are just amazed how well our highway's been maintained, how well a bridge been maintained.
Well, we're a little bit lucky here that we don't have the freezing and thawing that a lot of the northern states have, because that's awful on concrete.
Yes, yeah, that had a lot to do with it, and also, the investment we've been making. We have very high standard on our asphalt pavement and our bridge. So, yeah, we're doing well.
Tell me a little bit about managed lanes. I read something in the newspaper the other day that referred to a managed lane, and is that like they have going through Atlanta, where it's the Hove lane with the 2 people have to be in it, or? Well, is that an example of a managed lane?
Yes, I can give you lots of examples about managed lanes. In Florida, we actually have managed lanes. Managed lane actually, first, there are many definitions. Managed lane can be just express lane, can be HOV lane, with 2 or more people in a car, or it can be something like a reversible lane, like what we have on the Selman Crosstown Expressway. Mm-hmm. But what we've been focusing on lately is the toll express lane, like on I-95 down at South Florida or in Atlanta, where you have a freeway system where you have toll-free lanes on the outside, and in the middle you will have 1 or 2 lanes in each direction that people will pay a toll to get into it. What it does is it gives drivers choices. Okay, you can stay in the free lane. We're not taking away any free lanes. You can stay in there, but if you're willing to pay for more reliable travel, you can get into the express lane, pay 25 cents a mile or 50 cents a mile. Sometimes it depends on time of the day. The toll rate varies, but at least give you a reliable travel.
Well, 95 does turn into a parking lot down around Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I tell you what, managed lane really works down there. According to our data, before managed lane were implemented down there, the travel speed in the general free lane were about 18, 20 miles an hour.
Wow.
Now managed lane implemented, not only people traveling in managed lane faster, but also free up the capacity in the free lane. So the free lane actually traveling over 40 miles an hour.
Oh, really?
You put that in context, you are doubling your speed, meaning reduce your travel time to half. So it's a very good congestion management tool.
I didn't realize that it would have that kind of, I'm thinking, but my first initial thought was, well, all the wealthy people get to go fast and the poor people get to go slow. But it appears there's a benefit both ways.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is, they've been talking about Lexus lane. I'm sure, lots of folks hear about it.
Well, I hadn't now, but everybody on my show now will know about it.
Okay, I didn't bring it up first. But Bill, I mean, you really think about it. People who drive on those managed lanes, they're actually working folks. People trying to get to work in the morning on time. or mom and dad try to get to their kids at daycare, after work. Personal experience. I think once I was late to pick up my daughter, the charge was $1 a minute.
Ouch.
After 6:15, because pickup time was 6 o'clock. Now imagine if I can get on managed lane, okay, pay $3 or $4 to get there 15 minutes earlier.
You've saved yourself $10, $11.
I will do it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, we had a survey just not long ago, I think less than a year ago, on I-95. We found out the type of vehicle travel on managed lane. The most popular type traveling on managed lane, they're the Toyotas, Honda, Ford, Chevy.
Well, they're the most popular brands across the country.
Right, but they ain't no Lexus.
No, that's why those people have all that money. They don't spend it.
Well, I mean, your working folks, average working folks travel during peak time. They have to get to work at 8 o'clock, 8:30. They have to get back home and get to daycare, around that,
I have a lot of Scots in my background, and I'm not really excited about paying extra money.
But the thing is...
But I will.
Yes. Well, I'll give you a choice. You think about it. I mean, if you don't feel like paying, you can stay in the general use lane. But you think about general use lanes actually get benefit.
Now, are these actually blocked off lanes where when you get on, you get into that lane and you get out of it at the other end? Or like the Hove lane, you can go in and out as you're traveling?
Well, there are different types of separation between the toll-free lane and the managed lane. 95.
So you have barriers or something?
No, it's not a physical barrier. Actually, we have striping, have a 4-foot separation. Then we have the plastic tubes. You've seen it on highways about this high.
Yeah.
Every 20 feet we have one of those. Now, in Atlanta, as you travel through, you might have noticed the separation is only a double white stripe. What it does is people can come in and out.
That must be on 85 because
Yes,
I've never been on 85 north of Atlanta or south of it, either one. It does run parallel with 75 at points there.
Yes.
But I've not seen that yet.
Yeah, and people can weave in and out, but they're cameras. They're toll collection points, like every half mile.
Oh.
So you travel past one point, then you get to the next point, you get charged for toll. Now, lots of people just weave in and out, and they don't get charged. In 95, there are access points along managed lanes.
Okay.
Okay, right before interchange, there actually a gap in those plastic tubes. People can actually get in, then get out into managed lanes.
That's really an interesting concept. It'd be fun to see what happens to it over the whole, especially with all the new cameras and computer ability to log people in and out of a particular lane.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, all the technology being developed, and here in the Tampa Bay area, we are looking at managed lanes on our interstate system, all the way from Pinellas County and downtown St. Pete, through downtown and all the way to Bears.
Really?
Yeah. And we're also looking at I-4, from the downtown interchange all the way out to Polk County, where Polk Parkway is.
Yeah, that can become a parking lot also.
Yes. So yeah, we are looking for a way to handle congestion, and obviously managed lanes is one of the techniques.
Now, I'm assuming then that something like the Sunpass has to be used for this, because you don't want all these bills coming to you for coming in and out of a lane, correct?
Yes, that's electronic tolling. That's what we're looking at. Overhead gantry will be built, to
Now, you
scan.
use the term electronic versus the Sunpass. Are those two separate things?
No, the Sunpass basically a decal with electronic embedded into the little decal.
Okay.
You put on your windshield. So when your car passes through the gantry, the signal sent up to the gantry and just collect toll from.
So the Sunpass is just a specific name for the technology, correct?
Yes, that's what it is. A
Okay.
toll collection technology. Yes.
But it'll be interesting to see. What other problems do you see with the with the Florida Department of Transportation?
Well, as I mentioned.
Actually, we've just talked about an opportunity for all of us.
Yes, it is, and.
But opportunity comes Actually, going back to the Chinese, opportunity comes from crisis. So
really?
as we find out, as we find crises, those open opportunities for us. So what other crisis do we have that we can come up with a new opportunity for?
Well, you probably heard it. You know, obviously funding is an issue. You probably heard it that the Tampa is one of the two major cities still doesn't have a mass transit system.
And I think that is absolutely disgusting. We need a decent light rail here.
Mm-hmm. As you know, we had gone through a round of study a couple years ago. I think a ballot was put out for a voter to vote on it. It didn't pass. You know, we were looking at a light rail system at that time.
Yeah, one of our county commissioners kept waving his bus pass and saying, "We've got it." I won't mention the commissioner, but it's just not there. We do need something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think most people would agree with you. On the other hand, you know, lots of people don't think it's needed. And it is an expensive project. I mean, we are looking at billions in dollars in investment. I think the key is, you know, for the community to get together, you know, for all the transportation partners to come together and figure it out, you know, for the Tampa Bay area, what do we want? You know, do we want to build something like this? You know, do we want to get behind it? You know, as long as we all agree that's something we want to do, we can pull all our resources together, you know, looking at it as the #1 priority, you know, in the Tampa Bay region. You know, this way you can build a project. Otherwise, you know, you have all the resources scattered everywhere. So, you know, you'll build a little piece here, you'll build a little piece over there, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get a big project.
You don't have a cohesive piece.
That's right. And that's, you know, everybody been trying to get their arms around it. You know, DOT is one of the transportation agency here. You know, we try to facilitate those discussions, you know, regionally. And I think folks around here really want to do something about it. You know, funding is an issue. Coordination is an issue. Obviously, there's a big body of water between two counties. You know, that needs to be connected. I think there's been some very good discussion between both sides of the bay. I'm looking forward to some challenges.
Well, I think the nice thing is that you folks sit on top of all these various, I'll call them fiefdoms. You've got Pinellas County sitting here, Hillsborough over here, Manatee down here, and they all have their own desires. But at least you all can sit at the top and look down on what each one does and how it best will fit together. And be an honest arbiter, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, we are the regional planning agency around here, along with T-BARTA. I don't know if you're familiar with it. The Tampa Bay Area Regional Transportation Authority.
Yeah, we've had them on the show.
Oh, great. You know, you talk about regional planning a lot. You know, we have to look at transportation from a regional perspective. And, you know, we also understand the local entities want to take care of problem in their own backyard. Totally understandable. You know, you get out of your house this morning, you get on a city street, you probably hop on a county road, and you get on a state road.
Exactly.
Everything has to work as a system. You know, we get it. But at the end of the day, if you're looking at a major improvement, a big project, everybody just have to come together and figure out how to build it, how to fund it. You know,
and that's the bigger thing is we can build it and we can get the money together to build it, but it's the long-term cost of it going out to be able to keep building it and keep taking care of it. Like our roads that we've got out there now, we've got a huge network built over, well, since the 1950s. Mm-hmm. So we've got 60 some odd years of, or 70 years of highway built out there that have to be maintained now.
Yes.
We could figure out how to build it by the mile, but now maintaining it becomes the challenge.
Yeah, it becomes very expensive. As I mentioned early in the show, over 60% of our budget go to maintaining, operating our facility. So, I mean, that is a lot of money.
And that'll probably go up. As facilities get older, they require more. I can tell you myself, I have a lot more maintenance on me today than I used to have.
I have to agree
You're
with you.
still really young.
I'm getting old.
You got a 13-year-old daughter, that's your problem.
Yeah, I got gray hair pretty soon.
But it is something we have to look at down the line. And I remember back years and years ago, my mother and dad used to tell me about, I went to a one-room schoolhouse in Canada, and when they wanted to buy tablets and pencils and papers for us, the old timers said, well, we learned on slates, and slates and chalk were good enough for us. Those kids don't have to have this newfangled stuff. And I kind of looked at those folks that were whining about looking at and maybe coming up with a cohesive, and I say cohesive, light rail program for us. When I look at Charlotte and I look at Salt Lake and I look at all these different cities that have already invested this and how well they're doing. Mm-hmm. You folks have a big, big challenge ahead of you, it appears.
Yeah, and it is. And I can tell you that we had done enough study, you know, on the Hillsborough side and the Pinellas side. You know, we done enough studies, and we know what works. I mean, either rail or express bus or bus rapid transit, you know, regardless what technology we use, we know there's a need for this type of a system. Again, you know, everybody need to come together.
You can't be myopic. You can't just look right now. You've got to look, what are we going to need 5 years from now, 6 years, 10 years? We just went through a period of time where property was as cheap as it's going to be in the state of Florida for a long time because it's going up now. What seemed to me to be a good time to buy all this property needed to go through. And we needed people to work. It would have been a great way to put people to work.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, our planning horizon, I can tell you, goes 30 years, 30, 40 years.
Wow.
We look long term. And you're absolutely right. You know, we're not looking at today. We're looking at next generation. You know, what can we provide for them to travel? My daughter, you know.
Right. And we all have a vested interest in our kids. If we don't, we've got something wrong with us. We ought to be thinking about the people, because if it wasn't for the people in the 50s, we wouldn't have these highways today.
That's right.
They cared. You know, Ming, it's been wonderful having you on the program. I'd like to have you back.
Well, I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Think Florida Department of Transportation will let you come back?
I hope so.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bill Hodges, and this is Spotlight on Government. We've had Ming Gao, Planning Manager for Florida Department of Transportation for these 5 areas here in the Tampa region. I thank him for being with us. I look forward to seeing you on the show. Remember, you're unique, you're special, and you're great. Tell yourself so often because you are, you know. And thank you, Ming, for being with us.
Thank you, Bill, for having me.